And the point of it is, most people that I teach this, that are marketing experts, sales experts, PhDs, get about half or less right, okay? So if you get a lot wrong, that just means you learned a lot. If you get a whole lot right, which Selena will probably get the majority of them right, that means you've probably seen this before, or you've been reading some of the latest data that sells a product or a service. All right, so here's where I ask you and beg you for your honesty. In college, in high school, if you got a whole bunch of the true falses wrong, you started going for the opposite of what you thought. At least I did. Same with multiple choice. If I got all the A's wrong, I'd start shooting for B's, C's, and D's. Point is, go with what your gut says right off the bat. You're going to have about 5 to 7 seconds to decide on the answer. My point is, go with what your first instinct is, because that, in a real life situation, is most likely what you're apt to do. So in other words, when you have a sales decision to make or a marketing decision, you don't usually have, well, sometimes you have hours, sometimes you have days, but for most of us, it's seconds to respond and come up with the correct answer, okay, or the correct action. So the speed at which you're able to do this matters, and the answer, if you get it wrong, again, you're going to learn the right. So if you whine, it costs $5 per incident. Meredith will be collecting the $5 in the back. Okay, so both answers have validity, okay? Your job is to choose the one that's most right most of the time, okay? And by the way, it is controversial. And please pick on me if you'd like to. I love it. Okay, so the number one question is, the smartest way to significantly grow sales is to A, build loyalty, or B, find new customers. Okay, don't say out loud. You have a checklist in front of you. You're the first group that's ever done that before.
Dominant woman.
Y'all are still drunk from last night, aren't you? Okay. All right, how many people are A? Okay, B? Excellent. The answer is B, find new customers. For significant growth, you have to have new customers. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean that customer loyalty is not important? Absolutely not. So what I've done is that we've created this poster. This thing's freaking me out a little bit, so I'm going to go to this. A restaurant wouldn't offer free salt and pepper, and if it did, what would you think? Salt and pepper is what it takes to play in the restaurant business. So it's always on the table, and you don't pay for how much you use. If you use an enormous quantity of salt, it's free, because that's what it takes to be in the restaurant business. So what I want you to do is, we're going to use this analogy throughout today. I want you to look at customer loyalty as it's salt and pepper. Okay, that's what it takes. You have to have customer loyalty. It's outrageously important, but what's more important? New customers for significant growth. Any questions?
So you're saying customer loyalty is the salt and pepper?
Yes, customer loyalty is salt and pepper. That's what it takes to play in today's game. Okay? All right, so number 2, to build greater annual loyalty, it's smarter to increase dollars purchase per purchase occasion, or B, increase frequency of purchase.
We got something different.
Say it again.
We have a different question.
You have a different question? Okay, so...
It's number 7.
It's number 7.
Sorry. I'll blame that on Meredith. I have to blame it on somebody. You're wearing blue.
So we're doing number 7?
Do number 7. Sorry. All right, how many people are A? B? All right, the answer is A. Increasing dollars per purchase increasing dollars per purchased occasion, 3.8 times more important than frequency of purchase. So, as example, McDonald's Supersize It. You go through the drive-thru, a little bit more money, and you buy a little bit more French fries, a bigger drink, get you to spend more. In this particular situation is the point. Walgreens has built their entire business model around this. They want you to come in, and instead of coming 5 times a week, they want you to come once a week, and they want you to load up a basket and buy as much as you possibly can. Their entire store layout is that way, and H-E-B's followed, and a multitude of grocery chains have followed. They want you to buy more per purchase occasion. Any questions? All right, so what does this mean? to you. If you have my time and attention, that's rare. Not just me. Yes, I'm self-diagnosed ADHD. But if you have somebody's time and attention in today's world with iPhones and Blackberries and messages coming in, and I've got to go pick up my kids, I want to go do this, I'm distracted, that means you need to sell me more per occasion. Or sell me more, if it's an insurance policy, sell me more of that insurance policy or another element of the policy. Okay, if you get my time and attention, use it. Sell more per more per occasion with me than attempting to talk to me 5 times a week, 5 times a month, 5 times a year. If you get my attention 1 time per year, sell me more that particular time. All right, next question. When presenting data to a customer, you'll be most effective if you provide a clear and simple chart, or B, you explain in clear and simple words. Is that in line here? Sorry, guys.
Right, yeah.
Well, we had to have a problem. Every event has to have a problem. We found it. We're done. All right, how many people are A? B? All right, excellent. Why do I say excellent? Because that means if you got it wrong, you'll learn. So in relation to purchase intent, words are 3 times more effective. You explain the data in clear and simple words. Why? Because a chart or a graph can be highly subjective. Okay, so some charts and graphs, even though they're crystal clear to you, they can be highly subjective to somebody who's not clearly understanding exactly what they mean and say. Questions? All right, number 4, let's see if we're on track here. Nope. A customer letter and print ad has the best chances of success if you respect their intelligence level and write it at high school level, or B, you dumb it down and write it at 5th grade level.
That's actually number 2.
Thank you. Had to make you think somehow today. Nothing else. All right, how many people are A? B? You sure you haven't seen this before? Okay, B is the answer. 70% greater odds of success and profitability if you dumb it down and write it at 5th grade reading level. Again, why? Clarity versus clutter. Getting that time with me, make me understand exactly what you're trying to say. What is it that you want to get across to me? 5th grade reading level. Now, I've done some fascinating usage of this. My daughter's 11, started using her at Chinese labor rates at about 8, and okay, thanks. A courtesy laugh is always appreciated. So at about 8 years old, and I explained to her about a tagline or something that we were working on for a company or an organization, and it was fascinating, the feedback I got. And I've actually used it with multiple different companies, asking them to go to their 10-year-old and ask them, if you have a tagline or a billboard design example for Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union or whatever company you're working with, pass it by them, and if they clearly understand what you're saying, you've got a winner. If they don't, you can revise it to where you do. All right, number 5, significant overall sales growth can be realized if you cut your product line by as much as 50%, or B, you expand your product line to service all customers.
Number 9.
All right, how many people are A? B? Okay, the answer is A, you cut your product line by as much as 50%. So in this particular study, these are jellies at a Cracker Barrel type place, okay, in Ohio. 24 flavors, 2% of the people bought. The minute they moved it to 6 flavors, 12% bought. So the whole point of this is, which a lot of you raised your hand probably know this, clutter versus clarity. Don't make me try too much. Huge success with Costco and H-E-B is they don't have you try multiple different macaroni and cheese or fish or fried shrimp or whatever it is in the tasting line. Sam's does the same thing. They have you try 1. So if you can narrow the 6 down to 1 or 2, okay, and the studies show that if you take this down to literally 1, dramatic increases in sales. 2, you lower it, but it's still good. The minute you add a third, fourth, and a fifth, you dramatically decrease the opportunity in which to sell. So
You decrease the number of sales transactions or total revenue?
you decrease the ability for somebody to want to purchase. So just the ability, for instance, if I tried this one thing, okay, I'll give you a quick example. Red pepper yogurt dip, unusual thing. Costco had it
Have it
2
in
weeks
the
ago.
fridge, yeah.
You've had it?
I have it in the fridge, yeah.
Wow, okay. So, not that unusual, yeah. Okay, so the point is, I tried, I would have never bought it, ever, okay?
My wife did. I wouldn't have bought it either, but
Exactly. Tried it, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to buy it every time, okay? And the whole point, and it made me talk about it. And it's on video. You know what I mean? It's like one of those type of things. So the point is, get me to try one thing. Now, if I would have had a plethora of flavors, so I had the red pepper, I had something else, kind of like the sausage at Costco. They do kielbasa, and some of the other sausage manufacturers have 5 or 6 different ones. And by the end of it, your mouth tastes like, you know, strange. So can you actually make a decision on that? It's a lot harder. So some people think, have all these things so you can try them, which trying is great, the see, feel, touch experience part of it, but the reality of it is, what are you going to remember 2 aisles down? Oops, I got to go back and get that. That answer your question? Okay. All right, next question. When selling to a customer, it's best to use a soft relationship-focused approach, or B, be blunt and direct about what you offer. It's number 3. Okay, how many people are A? B? Oh, nice divided group, 50%, 50-50. Okay, the answer is B, 75% greater chance of success and profitability if you're blunt and direct about what you offer. So what does that mean specifically? So if you use a soft relationship-focused approach, is that good? That's salt and pepper, okay? But if you're blunt and direct, and blunt's not rude, it's blunt as in, here is exactly what you're going to get for your time, for your money, for your effort. Blunt and direct wins, higher odds of success. Questions? All right.
Do you think that that's changed over time just based on the fact that people are so busy?
Yes, absolutely. So that's why I present this as the latest data. So a soft relationship-focused approach is important, okay? But it's also salt and pepper. In other words, I can soft relationship you to death, and you don't understand what you get from the benefit that I could possibly provide from a business standpoint. So the faster I can get, I can increase your sales by $200 per hour, by $2,000 per week, by $200,000 per year, blunt and direct, I can get your attention. So that the clutter versus clarity fact makes a huge difference here.
Does that go back to ask for the sale in your presentation?
Okay, so the opposite of that would be to maybe,
Would you like to do business with us, but won't you buy my jellies? They're on special today.
so possibly, but if you can make it, and we're going to get into the right questions to ask a little bit later on, so the questions that sell with a higher probability of success. So asking for the sale versus making me, what would
Good about the product.
what would your, like, let's go back to the yogurt dip. His wife bought it, he didn't. He never would have bought it, okay? But asking the question, what would your son think of this? What would your daughter think of this? Would your husband like it? Yeah, I think he'd love it. Well, why don't you grab a bottle? Or why don't you grab a jar? So putting it in a situation where it's blunt and direct, but that soft relationship-focused approach is still there, so there's a human element to it. There's also, when I enter the fact that if I was to talk to his wife, and I find out, I see the ring on her finger, so I know that she's got a husband at home. She probably has some kids, maybe they're with her, maybe not, and it's a probiotic, healthy alternative to ranch dip or something else, let's say, okay? And I can use some of those elements to offer a further overt benefit and show some care and concern, okay? So the data shows that, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but the data shows right now that even in the stock market today, it's all about how we feel. So in other words, care and concern, and how do I feel? So if I feel confident that Rackspace stock is going to do this, then I'm going to invest in it. If I feel that Tesoro or Valero or whatever these corporations are going to do well and their stock is going to increase, then I'm more apt to invest in it. But it's all about consumer confidence and how we feel. Does that answer your question? Okay. I jumped a little bit ahead there, but that's all right. Building customer credibility is most effective if you offer a product demonstration or B, testimonials from satisfied customers. Really?
6 is the same as number 1.
One of them.
Yeah.
We had to have a mistake. Okay.
It's number 13.
All right, so how many people are A? Really? How many people are B? All right, so some of you didn't raise your hands. Let's do that again. How many people are A? How many people are B? Okay. Those of you in the back didn't raise your hands, but that's okay. All right, the answer is A. So majority of you got this wrong. I'm anxious for some pushback here. But a strong name and reputation is the baseline. That's credibility. Testimonials, 29% more effective. This is the third most important number we're going to talk about today. 40% more effective if you offer a demonstration. So Jake has this yogurt dip, this red pepper yogurt dip. His wife tried it and she bought it. Okay? The chances of me actually buying a red pepper yogurt probiotic dip without trying it, for me, maybe 5% chance. Trying it made all the difference in the world. So here's a decent example. General Motors, when they came out with the Cadillac CTS, did one of the first ever drive it around the clock, not just around the block. Okay? It was one of the most successful campaigns they'd ever done, so they stopped it. Y'all are slow today. Okay. So why did they stop it? Because they were General Motors at the time, before Ed Whittaker. My fan. I'm a big fan of Ed Whittaker. But anyway, so the point is, if you get in that Cadillac CTS and you drive it and you had your Saturn, 5-year-old Saturn that had the kids in the back and spilled drinks and it kind of smelled like Whataburger, and so you get in this Cadillac CTS and you get out of it when you get home and you smell like leather and the stereo sounded great, and then you get back in it the next morning and you drive to work, and after work you're cruising down the highway and everything's smooth and wonderful, and then you pull back into the Saturn or to the Cadillac dealership to get in your old Saturn, and here's the salesman with the keys to your Saturn smiling like, don't you want to drive that Saturn out of here? What are the odds of his ability to sell you on a payment for that Cadillac CTS? So it's all about the demonstration. The see, feel, touch experience. I can tell you about stuff, okay? But the minute you actually experience it and enjoy it and taste it and hear it and feel it and love it is all the difference in the world.
So how do you do that with a loan product?
How do you do it with a loan product?
Yeah, with the services. I mean, so that's something, it's a commodity. But
Sure.
What about for services?
So let's go a little deeper than that. Specifically, what? Let's go specific.
We're a nonprofit that provides microloans.
Okay.
So our primary job is to provide alternative lending.
Right.
Businesses. That's all we do.
So to put the dichotomy there, there's Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. So Kenan is the head of commercial lending for Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. You offer something that they're not going to touch.
Right.
And then there's small business development. They're not going to touch what you do, correct?
Well, this is small business development. I think everyone wants
Okay.
to do resources.
But you're 50,000, I happen to know, right? 50,000 and under,
Right.
micro loans. So $5,000 if I wanted to.
Average is about 17,000.
Average 17,000. Okay, so here's an example of how to use this. So the key factor is if you can tell me a story about a customer who lost their job and came through your process, and in how many days or weeks or months they were able to qualify or do the paperwork. It took an hour worth of paperwork, and they were able to get $10,000, and they went out and they bought all these Frisbees, and underneath the Frisbees was a coupon for Whataburger, and they went to Whataburger and sold this Frisbee plan that put them in people's yards all over Deerfield. That would be a story that you could see how the overt benefit comes into their life.
So not just a testimonial about the product, but how it works.
So tell me a story, okay, that I can relate to. Tell me a story that I can put myself into it. Okay? If there's emotion, or you can pull out concern, and most important, confidence, then you've got a higher degree of sellability.
Do you want to take that deeper, though? Can you take that deeper? I mean, we're talking about some factual benefits here, but the emotional side of that is because this gentleman lost his job, he couldn't put food on the table. Now he's feeding his family because of the loan, basically.
Right. He had a great attitude, but HEB won't take attitude for groceries. So the sooner you can tie it into and use a name, the children were this age, okay? We're compassionate humans. A lot of the stuff that people are selling out there, there's no compassion, there's no feeling. So the more you make it real and more you make it human, yes. And I'm not talking about BS either. I'm talking about the real stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot of that.
Yeah, I know you do. And so that's what's cool about it is you can tell, if you tell those real stories and people don't mind it. And the sooner you show me a picture, okay, the ultimate is maybe a video or actual interaction with them, but that's a little much. But if the closer you can get to where I'm the human element, the higher odds of success.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bring that to cell phones and smartphones and even computers and all that.
Okay, so this,
As far as demonstrating, and is the objective to get people into the store to try the smartphone?
yeah, I mean, look at what Apple has done. I mean, you walk by an Apple store in North Star or La Cantera, and it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my entire life. And Nan knows the data. Davis, who runs Apple Store, the record set per, do you know what any numbers? People that come in the store, I used to know what it was, but the numbers are just astounding as to the traffic that an Apple store has. Why? And if you go in there, I was there with my kids a few weeks ago, and every single device was in use. What?
Was working?
It was working, and it was in use, like people were on it. So every iTouch, every iPad, every iPhone, there was interaction going on with it. There were people waiting in line to touch and play with it. I can't think of a better example than Apple. And I can't think of a better example of a retail store. And Nan, I'm going to ask another question you probably don't know, but the data shows that on the real estate aspect of Apple, they do more per square foot than any retail store ever in history. And I used to know the exact numbers, but it was by an insane amount. Does anybody know what it is? Okay. It's like an insane amount, much more per square foot of sales that they do for other retailers. Why? In my opinion, you can play with everything. You can see it, feel it, touch it. We went to get a cover for their iTouches after Christmas, and instead at Best Buy you had to buy it and then put it on. At Apple, no. You open the package, feel it, touch it, they put it on for you. You had a question. Somebody?
Well, I want to just go back to the demonstration of a service. Like
Okay.
how is that different than a testimonial? I mean, can you just kind of try to clarify?
Sure.
That testimonial?
Okay, so my favorite example of that is last year, Sales by Five was doing business with Wells Fargo advisors in 6 states, managing about 25 different cities' outreach to customers. So you're talking about financial advisors, okay? And a lot of them, as an example, don't like to go after new customers, okay? They like to handle their current book of business and don't want to go, which is the opposite of what they need to be doing. Significant growth equals more customers. So our job was to push them a little bit out of their comfort zone and get them to talk to people, okay? One of the key things that I learned there is one of the most successful financial advisors in Kansas City was doing the following with a 95% success rate in getting new customers. He would go to you, and majority of people already have a financial advisor, it's much like an insurance agent. So there's an incumbent, okay? So they would go to you and you already have a financial advisor and you don't know that you can have better, okay? Grass is greener, I don't know, I'm comfortable, he's okay. He's made me $4 last year, $3 the year before that, and everybody else has lost money, whatever. Okay, there's a lot of different stories. But the point is, what he would do is he would go to you and say, what's your name, by the way?
Cynthia.
Cynthia. He would say, Cynthia, I would like to show you what I can do for you. I want to have a meeting with you, go over your finances, and for the next 6 months, we're going to have a monthly meeting that's going to last 15 minutes. It can be on the phone, okay? And I'm going to show you what I can do for you in your portfolio. And it's going to be a fake portfolio, so here's your real one that your financial advisor's working on, and here's mine. And I'm going to show you what you can do. And by the way, if you want to use any of this advice with your current financial advisor, that's fine. You do whatever you want to do. So what he does is he goes through this, and by month 2, the majority of customers have already signed on with him. He never lasts 6 months, okay? People immediately sign on with him because he's actually being proactive and showing them exactly what they'll receive for their time, effort, money with him. And by the way, you can do the same thing in the dating world. You can paint the picture, okay? I'm going to present an analogy, okay? A lot of people do this. They look on Facebook. Facebook is well known right now for presenting an ideal life to a lot of people. So it's depressing a lot of people because they're seeing this beautiful picture of this woman and her daughter and her husband, and they think that they have the perfect life, but they're presenting this wonderful stuff on there, but the reality of it is there's a lot of things missing. Uh-oh. Kenan, is that what you were talking about? Okay, we're live.
They have your Apple statistic, 4,000 per square foot is compared to approximately 900 to 1,000 for an average retail store.
All right, everybody hear that? $4,000 per square foot
4,000 per square foot.
versus $900 to $1,000 per square foot. So why is everybody not copying Apple?
Scarcity versus, I mean, it's a scarcity versus abundant, like, oh my God, someone's going to take it, as opposed to it might be worth whatever they're going to take to be able to allow the touch factor to sell more.
I'm just amazed that more retailers haven't jumped on board with their model. Okay, next question. Forced to choose, buyers prefer salespeople who are A, highly dependable, or B, highly competent.
That's
Number 10. Okay, how many people are A? B? Excellent for the people who said B, because you're going to learn it's A. Likability is the baseline. That was a weird thing to laugh at. Okay, so likability is the baseline. If you're not likable, where should you work? Best Buy. Okay, competence 30% more valuable than the baseline, and dependability, second most important number we're going to talk about today is dependability. It's 320% more important. Why? Because people can manage incompetence, but dependability builds true trust. So sales is the transfer of trust. People have friends they can trust. They marry people they can trust. They let their kids do things if they trust them. Employers leave town if they can trust the employees. Think of all the elements of trust. So one of the most important words I could possibly mention today is trust. Okay? The minute you break that trust factor, divorce happens, restriction, kids can't take the car out, whatever else. Think of all the different elements. You're fired, whatever. All right, questions? All right. Next question, the number one reason for not getting the sale. Okay? It's a 20-year-old problem. Okay? A, talk too much. B, did not listen. C, did not respond to my question. D, did not understand my needs. All of these apply. But what's number one by far? Okay, so all of these are true, but what's number one?
Number
Say it again. Number 11. I'd apologize for this, but but the exorbitant amount you paid to come to this today. All right, how many people are A, B, C, D? Wow, very diverse. I think it's probably about 25% on each one. The answer is A, talk too much, which is why the Sales by 5 marketing piece is a barf bag, which you all can all leave today with a commercial grade airline barf bag that has the top 10 ways to increase sales inside of it. Now, this is fun to hand to the guy that comes in and tries to sell you toner or your copier needs or somebody that shows up and throws up inside your office. It's exciting to do this. Trust me, I use it all the time and it's fun. Okay, so, there it is. So number 10, when creating ideas for new initiatives, the smartest strategy is to create ideas customers are not necessarily asking for, or B, create ideas based on listening to the voice of the customer. Number 4, all right, how many people are A? 2, 3, 4. B? All right, this is awesome. Why is it awesome? Because you're learning here. The answer is A. A future focus is 10 times more predictive of success. So what does that mean? Listening to the customer, is it important?
Yes.
What is it?
Salt and pepper.
Yes, thank you. So listening to the customer's salt and pepper, 10 times more predictive of success is a future focus. So no one asked for the iPod. No one asked for the automobile. They asked for a better buggy whip. Okay? Stronger, more effective buggy whip. Okay? So if you think about it, if you're in financial planning, if you're commercial lending, if you're microloans, if you're mortgage, whatever it is, what are people going to need in 6 months? What is that customer that you just met going to need in 6 months or 6 years? Okay? So that you can outdo your competitor and realize, here's what they need. Not today, but here's what they're going to need. Quick story. My bank, my new bank is Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. My old bank, I'm not going to tell you the name of it. Okay? But my old bank, I explained to them last year that my company had grown 750% in 45 days. Okay? That's dramatic growth. A lot of pain happens with that. A lot of good happens with that. But all of a sudden you've got to dramatically increase payroll, quantity of people, space, computers, Blackberries, the list goes on and on and on, okay? A huge amount of growth for Sales by 5. What did he do? He took me to lunch, patted me on the back, said great, and then when I asked for $100,000 or $200,000, he wasn't prepared and ready, okay? He knew I was going to need cash flow because of all the accounts receivable that were coming from Wells Fargo Advisors, backed by the most profitable bank in the United States. My bank wasn't Wells Fargo, by the way. Where are they today? Okay? Well, we no longer have a good relationship because they weren't there for me. They weren't looking ahead on what I was going to need. Okay? Future focus, 10 times more predictive of success. Number 11, the best way for most people to grow their creativity is practice thinking flexibility. B, read and study to gain more knowledge. C, connect with creative people.
That's number 5.
Number 5. How many people are A? B? C? All right, so the answer is B, read and study to gain more knowledge. For 98% of us, this is true. For 2%, it's thinking flexibility. So for the top Mensa, smart, intellectual people, it's thinking flexibility. There's actually no data that shows that hanging out with creative people makes you more creative. Studying and reading to gain more knowledge, being around creative things, ideas, stimulus, TED, South by Southwest, whatever it is, reading. If you subject yourself to National Enquirer, some of those things, that's the opposite. Okay, maybe if you're into writing, maybe that works for you, I don't know. Number 12, most new products and services fail because A, they're not a good idea in the first place. B, poor product or service performance. C, poor execution of sales and marketing. All right, this is going to be interesting. There's a statistic here that everybody follows. Every audience gets this one in particular. So I'm going to see if y'all are the same. How many people are A? 2, 3. B? C? Everybody throws sales and marketing under the bus. It's amazing. I mean, it's one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. The answer is A, it's not a good idea in the first place. There's a lot of examples out there. The AMC Pacer, the radio toaster. I thought the Snuggie would be it, but it's a success. But there's a multitude of things out there. But the reality of it is, here's where I'm going with this. How fast can you fail and how cheap? In a relationship, a marriage, a relationship with your car dealer that starts talking you into stuff that's BS, in a business adventure, how fast can you fail and how cheap? The speed at which you fail and how cheap you do is the most important thing. I was at an EO University, Entrepreneurs Organization University, a couple weeks ago in Houston, and it was fascinating because the CEO, founder of Travelocity, the founder, Kai, the founder of Guitar Hero, Lanham Napier's CEO of Rackspace, all of them mimicked this exact thing. The speed at which you can fail, because you're going to fail at some things, but how fast, and they didn't say how cheap specifically, but the speed at which you fail and the speed at which, and that how cheap you can do it is the most important thing you can do. Questions? All right, how'd you score?
Not very good.
Okay, that's good because you learned something, right? If all of you got this right, what are you here for? Okay, so how many people got 12 right? 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. 7? 7 right? 2 people. Cool. 6? 6 right? 6 is the average for an MBA. Y'all laugh at weird things. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 2, you got 2 right? Thanks for being honest. So the average PhD, are any of y'all PhDs? Average PhD gets about 4 right because they think they know everything. The average sales and marketing expert gets about 4 right because they think they know everything. So hopefully y'all learned some cool stuff today. The next step we're going to talk about is features and benefits. And a lot of people, when they first see this, they think they completely understand it. But the key fact, how are we doing on time, Non? Okay, cool. About 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to take a break. Features are facts, figures, technology that make up your offering, but the benefits are what's in exchange for your time, trouble, money, trust. Okay? So we're really going to focus on this. I'm going to take you through a little bit of an exercise, and then we're going to continue to work on this worksheet. And the rest of this worksheet, I'm pretty sure is good. So the first law of marketing physics is the overt benefit. You triple your odds of success if you have a true overt benefit. I'm going to give you all a quick lesson here. We're all going to participate. So the feature of this particular item is stabilization control. Okay? Does anybody know the overt benefit?
Roll over.
Won't roll over. Anything else?
Smooth, not bumpy.
Smooth, not bumpy.
Save your life.
What?
Save your life.
Save your life. Good. Anything else?
You won't get stuck.
You won't get stuck. That's traction control. So here's where we're going here. That's important. Thank you for saying that, because what I want you to do is really dig deep and realize what is the true overt benefit of this. Somebody said, they looked at it and they said, my mother-in-law can't get in there. So they thought that was an overt benefit, okay? But they were looking at this big truck with tires, right? So, but the picture or the product or the service can be misleading, okay? It can make you think, cool, mother-in-law can't get in. But the reality of it is, what is this true benefit to the stabilization control? Safety. Excellent, okay? One person said that in the last seminar I did, they said, you won't die. Pretty blunt and direct, right? Okay, because you remember the Isuzu Trooper in the 80s that flipped over when it went around a curve? Not all of them did, but whatever. They showed it on Consumer Reports. So the answer here is it reduces rollover risk, okay? And if you went even more overt than this on a benefit, You won't die. I mean, that's a little dramatic, but safety, okay? Your kids are safe. Bring it home to me what my feelings are and concern. All right, so the next one, quality wax blends. What's the benefit?
Protection.
Say it again.
Protection.
Now go deeper than that. What do I really care about? What is the overt benefit for me to pay? Okay, so it's $14 for a really good shoe shine, $5 for a low quality that lasts a little while.
Something that lasts longer.
Okay?
Saves you money. Saves you money.
Saves money. What else?
Look good. Appearance, it's good.
Looks good. Okay, so I didn't understand this really. I have those little Kiwi or whatever they're called things at home. Never have been able to do a good job on my shoes. Y'all are laughing at weird things today. So recently I took my shoes in and I really wanted the best shine that they had. So it's $5 for just whatever, and you're done. I'm looking at people's shoes now. And you can look at mine. These have been shined for, these are 3 months old now, and they have a perfect shine. And the difference was a long-lasting glossy shine. It comes only from the quality wax blends. Otherwise, you're going to get a shine that lasts a couple of days, maybe a week if you're lucky, or it's a dull polish. Next one. What's the overt benefit?
No screaming.
Well, but yeah, no,
Happy baby.
Men are always the funniest to listen to on this one. No screaming. What did you say?
crying, somebody else.
No crying.
Yeah.
You get to sleep at night. Okay, hold on a minute. How many of you have children? All right, now really think, get into your feelings here in your heart.
The wife's head doesn't spin around.
It soothes the baby.
Doesn't hurt the baby.
Okay, so when my daughter and my son had teething pain, and I remember it as a child, an earache or teething pain were just the worst. The speed at which I would drive to Eckerd or Walgreens, how fast my car would go there was important. Because, I mean, I'm not being fake here, but I didn't want, I knew I was compassionate with their pain. Did I want them to stop screaming? I guess so, but I really feel like I was more concerned about their well-being. So it's kind of funny to hear men in this particular situation. That too, yeah, it's an added benefit. They're feeling better. Okay, so the second law of marketing physics is a reason to believe. So you double your odds of success when you communicate a real reason to believe. So you have an overt benefit, and then you have the real reason to believe that you're able to deliver that benefit. Okay? So one of the most compelling that I've seen, and I like to talk about, is Hyundai. Okay, and I don't own one, but I thought this was fascinating. So you're looking at a Toyota, a Honda, a Nissan, a Chevrolet, a Lexus, and the Hyundai's got 10 years, 100,000 mile warranty. And then you keep looking over, and it's got 24-hour roadside assistance for 5 years, unlimited miles. Okay, and you compare that to a Honda Accord that's about $2,000 more. Okay, and you think about when they entered the United States market with Kia and Hyundai, I think both of them are similar in their warranties, how compelling it was, because what's the one thing that you could say that, no, I'm not going to buy a Hyundai, no, I'm not going to buy a Kia versus this Honda Accord or Honda Civic or whatever else it may have been? And the answer is the trust. Okay, so sales is a transfer of trust. Do I trust this vehicle to take my daughter and son to Oklahoma or Arkansas or wherever else it is, and it be dependable? And what they were able to do, if you can imagine competing against them and realizing that all of a sudden, if you're selling Hondas at 3-year, 36,000 mile warranties, and for a few $1,000s less, you have a competitor that's blowing your warranty out of the water. Okay, imagine that feeling. And that's what they were able to do, which changed the market. Okay, so the third law of marketing physics is dramatic difference. You have a 370% greater chance of success and profitability if you have true dramatic difference. So I put up a few examples for you here. This is what started my relationship with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, and I don't have to talk about them today. I actually asked Kenan if I could have this JPEG from their marketing department. This isn't actually a billboard running right now, but 2.5 years ago, everything was a little bit different, especially 3 years ago, but let's put it 2.5 years ago, and I saw this on I-10, and I had never heard of refinancing a car before. Have y'all ever, does everybody know about this? I'd never heard about it. So I looked at 3.7 and I was at something like 5.9%, and I'd put some money down on a nice sports car a few years ago when things were nice in life. So 3.7%, I was like, what's this about? So it made me call, okay? First billboard in my life that I actually took action on. And it's simple. There's an overt benefit there, and there's dramatic difference. So I called them, and get this. There's no fee. There was no reason not to. It's not like refinancing a house. There was absolutely no reason not to refinance this car. I took the payment down a significant amount, and they gave me a 2-month break and not making a payment at all when it counted most in my life. So therefore, there was a reason to believe they were able to offer this benefit when I did call, but the overt benefit and the dramatic difference were there.